Hello everyone, this is Kushag. Welcome to our YouTube channel DevTown. If you like the content, do like, share and subscribe to our channel. So you'll be seeing a series of videos required for you to get a good understanding of web development. So students, in today's topic we would be making this Tinder clone. So this is the Tinder clone that we would be copying today, and it's made up of HTML and CSS. So I hope that you must have seen, and it's looking so much beautiful. So we will be copying this Tinder clone. So let me just move on towards my VS Code, and first of all you need to open one folder that is in, I have made that folder that is as Tinder clone, and I need to have three files inside it. That is your index.html, and then I would be having one image folder, and then I would be having one inside this I would be having your style.css file. So let me just say style.css file. So all the things are ready, and this is all about this, and I need to have the images also inside this. So let me just copy the images. So this is the images that I need to copy and paste it inside the folder. So let me just copy it, and let's just say image and paste it. So this is all about the images, and I hope that we must have got the logos and the images. So this is the Tinder.jpg. This is how our profile would be looking, and this is the logo that we would be using while our designing, and anything anywhere like that would be we would be using if needed. So now let's just go towards the index.html file and quickly generate the boilerplate code and make the title as Tinder. So title is there ready, and now we would be saying hello to check whether our HTML file is working properly or not, and we would be hitting on this go live button. So we are getting hello. So before moving on towards my main part, students, if you have not liked and subscribed to my channel yet, so do like it as well as do subscribe it by clicking on the subscribe button, as well as do hit this bell icon so that you can continuously receive the notifications whenever there is an update. So let me just move on to my VS Code again and start coding. So first of all we would be having one div with a class of container, and inside this container we would be having two divs, that is with a class of first side, and then we would be having second div with a class of your content. So I hope that we must have got this two divs, and the next thing that we would be doing is we would be having a link with your style.css file, and it's linked, and now we would be having some default properties or default selection. So we would be making it as box sizing to border box, which is the first thing that we do. And the next thing that we would be having is inside the body we would be having background color as your F5 and F7 and your FA. So this is the color that we would be having in the background, and the font family that we would be using today is Roboto, and it's Roboto, and your sans serif. So sans serif. So I would be copying this Roboto from the Google font. So I would be telling you how we would be copying it. So margin would be 0. So let me just show you. So I have already copied few links that I would be using in this project. So I have copied this Roboto from the Google font. So let me just tell you how I have copied it. So first of all, let me just paste this inside my index.html file, and so this is how, and let me just say format document. So format document, so document is formatted, and I need to go to the Google fonts and I need to select this link and hit on this font, and in the search icon I need to say Roboto. So this is the Roboto that we are using, and I need to just quickly remove all these sans. So let me just remove it. I say remove all, so it's been removed, and then you can select like this how much like we want. So I have done 300, and then I think I have selected for, let me just check with the link, it's 400 also, so I've selected for 400. So by this, after that you can just copy this link from here and you can just paste it inside your, like this, you can just copy it and you can paste it over here like this. So this is how we do it, and if you will check, we would be having the same link that we have. So wait 01, I have copied 100 also, so that's why I'm getting it, but in this I have not copied, so that's why I'm not getting it. So let me just delete this line. So this line I need to delete it. So that's how the line is being deleted, and I have also copied the link of the font. So I hope that you must have got how to copy the fonts and all other things. So the next thing that we would be doing is we would be having one div with a class of side inside this. So yeah, sorry, side is already done. So we would be having div with a class of header now. So header, 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 yeah. And inside this header, let me just put this to the next line, and yeah, and inside this header we would be having your, let me just check what all things do we need to have. So yeah, we would be having an image and a title. So let me just say, let me just have an div with a class of avatar, div with a class of avatar. So avatar, and inside this we would be having an image, and I would be copying the main avatar image from here. So this is the main avatar that we would be having, and I would be pasting it over here. And then after this I would be having one div with a class of title. So title, and then I would be saying the name of this. So div with a class of title, and inside this I would be having the name that is, so this is the name of the avatar. So let's just check. So I hope that we are getting the avatar. Let me just refresh it. So avatar, I have copied it from here. This is the profile. As you can see, this is the avatar that I'm using, and if you will match, it would be the same avatar. And yeah, this one is the avatar that I'm using. So it's a random user dot me. Let me just show you random user. If you will search for random user, then you will get random user generator, and you can click on this user photos option, then you will land on this page. So you can get a random user photos, and over here you, in the ladies section, you can get the ladies photos, and you can utilize it accordingly, whichever photo you are whichever photo is suitable for your project. So you can use the avatar like that. So I'm using this photo, so that's why I'm getting this. So now I would be having, I need to go back again, and I need to do certain you can say the changes in the CSS now. So let me just go to the CSS file, and let's just say for container, the properties that we would be using is display as flex, and after that we would be having your properties for side, and inside this side I would be saying minimum width, sorry, not height, minimum width of your 320 pixels, and then we would be saying height of 200 pixels, and we would be saying background color of your FFF, and then we would be saying height of 100%, and then we would be saying minimum height of 100 VH, and then we would be saying border right of your 1 pixel solid E1 E1. So yeah, this is the thing, and yeah, I hope as you can see the difference. So this is the whole body background, and this is the white color that we are having, that I've designed for your sidebar, as you can see. So it's working perfectly fine. And now we would be having some properties for the content as well. So let's just have it for content. So I think I've made that div with a, yeah, so div with a class of content is ready. So I would be having width as 100% over here, and display as your flex, and then I would be having padding of your 20 pixels in top and bottom, and 0 pixels on left and right, and align items as center, and your flex direction as column. And then we would be having the property for side, and then we would be going inside the header, inside this header, and I would be saying the properties for header. So properties of header, the background color background that we would be using is your linear gradient, and inside this we would be having 262 degree, and the colors that we would be using is your hash FF7854, and the next color that we would be using is your hash FD and 267D. So let's just check. Yeah, this is the color that we were checking and we were looking for. And the width, the next property, that is your width, should be your 100%, and your height should be of 80 pixels, and your box shadow we would be having, box shadow should be 1 pixels, 8 pixels, 0, and RGBA color we would be using, and we would be having the 0, 20, 20, and the alpha value that we would be using is 0.2. So let's just check how it's looking. Yeah, it's looking perfectly fine, and we would be saying display flex now, so that they both come in one direction. So display flex, align items as center, and then padding as 0 and 20 pixels. So 0 pixels on top and bottom, and 20 pixels on left and right. So yeah, that's it. And now we would be saying we would be having the properties for image. So dot side dot header dot avatar, and inside this we would be going inside the image tag. So we would be saying width as 40 pixels, height as 40 pixels, and border radius as your 40 pixels, and then we would be saying border 2 pixels solid, and the color that we would be using is white. And now we would be having a box shadow. So box shadow, and inside this we would be having 0, 1 pixels, 8 pixels, and then 0, and then the RGBA value again we would be having the same value. So let's just check. So now it's looking a little bit pretty, and we are getting the proper thing. So we have it for a title, so we would be now designing the title part. So we would be having dot side dot header and dot title. So we would be having title padding of 0 and 10 pixels, and then we would be having color of FFF, and then we would be having font size of your 23 pixels. So let's just check. Yeah, now it's looking very much pretty, and it's appropriate as it was there inside our, if you will check, it's looking similar as it was there inside our main part. If you will look, this is the main thing that we were having, and if you will look our content or our part or our document, our project, so they both are looking same. So we have done this, so we have done with successfully done with our first part. Now we would be moving with the second thing. So the second thing that we would be designing is this thing. So we would be designing this part. So let's just move. So header part is over, so let's just close this header, and inside this we would be having another div with a class of menu, and inside this we would be having UL tag, and inside this UL tag we would be having li into 2, and first li that we would be having is the matches, and the second li that would be having is your messages. So messages, and inside this we would be having class of active, and that's all. So let's just design this. Let's just go back towards the style and scroll it down, and let's just design it. So we would be having side dot menu and your UL tag, and inside this we would be having display as your flex and your padding of 0-20 pixels, and then we would be having your part for li. So side dot menu UL and li. So we would be having your list style of none and margin of your 0-10 pixels, and then we would be having a font weight of 700, and then we would be having font size would be of 15 pixels, and letter spacing, so letter spacing I would be telling that would be 0.5 pixels. So now we would be having, let's just check how it's looking. Let's just shift back. Yeah, so now if you will check, it's looking little bit similar to what it's in our part. So it's matching basically, but there is an active part also, so we would be having that active part. So now we would be having side dot menu, and we would be having dot active. So we would be selecting this part, and we would be having border bottom, and we would be having border bottom of 3 pixels solid, and we would be using the color FD5068. So this is the color that we would be using, and we would be having a padding bottom of 2 pixels. So that will give this active part. So if you will check, so we are getting, so that is how we would be having this active part, and this active part is looking perfectly fine. So now we would be designing your messages part. So now we would be going to this part. So we would be having these many profiles. So now we would be designing this. So let's just move on, and let's just have and let me just close this as well. Now we will have 5 div with a class of your messages. So MESS messages multiply by 5. So class with the messages is done, and inside this we would be having, let me just say alt, and we would be having div with a class of your avatar first. So div with a class of avatar, and inside this we would be having your image tag. So image tag, and then we would be moving out of this. Let me just move out, and I think it's we need to move out of this avatar part also. So now we would be having div with the class of message. So div with the class of your message, and inside this div we would be having two you can say class, that is your user. So div with the class of user, and then let me just show you, div with the class of user, and then we would be having a structure of div with the class of your text. So let's just select it. So let's just scroll it down. Let me just do this. Let's just have like this, and inside this part, and like this, and like this, like this. So now we would be having one more div inside this, and inside this div we would be having div with a class of text. So we would be copying this structure, and we would be maintaining this structure. So let me just copy the first avatar image. So this is the first avatar image that I would be using, and I would be pasting over here instead of this. So our user image is done, and we would be typing the name of the user. So name of the user that we would be typing is, let me just copy it. So this is the name, Control C, and let's just paste it, and we can have a lorem of 10 like this inside this text part. And now we can also, I can also maintain it for this as well. So let me just first format this part. So let's just have it like this, and then I need to say one part over here, and then again over here. Let me just remove this only. Let's just remove this. Let's just delete this, and let's just copy it 4 times. Control C, 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So let me just move it back. This is the first message, and then I need to copy the second link. So this is the second link that we need to copy it, and we need to paste it over here. Control V, and I need to copy the name. So name is same. I need to just replace this links. So let me just copy this link again. Control C. This is also done, and then this, Control C, paste it over here, and then this Control C. I need to paste it over here, Control V. And let's just check the output. So if you will check the output is as expected, and we are getting the links, and it's looking similar kind of a thing, but we need to design it via CSS. So let's just move back towards our style.css, and let's just move back. So now we would be having dot side, and then we would be saying dot messages, and we would be having the properties for this. So padding of your 10 pixels on top and bottom, and 20 pixels on left and right. Display as your flex, and align items as center, and your transition. So we would be having some transition, so 0.2 seconds, and then we would be having box shadow. So let's just check how it's looking. So it's looking perfectly fine, and our part is looking good, and we need to move ahead. So let's just scroll down. So now we would be working on the image of the message part, that is your avatar image. So dot avatar and image. So inside this we would be having width as your 70 pixels, and your height as also 70 pixels, and your border radius that we would be having is your 70 pixels. So let's just check. Yeah, so now it's perfect round, and we are getting the perfect round image as it was required. So now we would be having dot side, and then we would be having dot messages, and then we would be talking about the user part, and inside this we would be having first padding of 0 and then 10 pixels, and then we would be having the font weight of 500, and then letter spacing of 0.5 pixels, and then we would be, let me just close this, sorry. So we would be having letter spacing, and then font size of 18 pixels. Let me just scroll it down. So let's just check how it's looking. So it's looking as it was required, and it's looking perfect, but we need to design our text part again, so we need to work still. So let's just go inside the side, and then dot messages, and then dot text, and now we would be having width of 200 pixels, and then white space as no wrap, and then overflow as your hidden, and then we would be having text overflow elapse text ellipse, and then we would be having padding of your 0 and 10 pixels, and then we would be having font weight of 300, and then font size of 15 pixels, and then opacity of your 0.8. so this is the opacity that we would be using. So let's just check. Yeah, so now if you will match it, it's looking perfectly fine, but the one thing that we are not getting is, if you will observe over here, we are getting some hover options. So if you will see, if you will closely observe, there is some shadow, as well as we are getting this line. So we need to make this line, so we need to we need to work on this. So we need to use the hover property, so I would be using this hover property dot side dot messages hover. So hover, and now I would be having the design for this. So we would be using the box shadow to add the shadow. So 0 0 and then 15 pixels and then 0 and RGBA color of box shadow we would be providing. So we would be having 43 comma 78 comma 78, and the alpha value that we would be using is 0.1. So now if I'll show you, if I will hover on this, let's just hover. So we are not getting the box shadow. Yeah, it's messages, it's not menu. So now if you will see, now we are getting that similar kind of hover property that we are getting in this. So it's adding the shadow, so that's why it's looking like it has been little bit uplifted. So I hope that you must have got how we are adding it. And now we would be adding the border right to make that that line that was coming in the right hand side. So we will add a 5 pixel solid border of your FD 5068. Yeah, this is the color that we would be using. So now if you will check, we are getting the similar kind of line also, and it's looking closer, almost, yeah, perfectly fine. So it's looking as it is in the original part. So we have successfully made our sidebar perfectly fine, and now we would be jumping on towards the image part, that is the main content. So now let's just design the content. Let's just go to the HTML part and let's just check with your content part, and let's just see, let me just scroll this, and now we would be working on this part. So we would be designing this content, and let's just check what all things do we have. So we have an image inside it, and then we have it your logos, and then we have your icons also. So we need to have an icon. So for icon we would be using this font awesome libraries. So as you can see, this cross, star and heart icon which we are using, so we would be getting it from font awesome. So how to get it? There is one cdnjs.com website, and you can search for font awesome over here and click on this first link, and you can copy this first link. So you can copy this URL, or you can copy the link tag for this, and you can successfully paste it inside your this part, which would be giving you the font awesome part. Or if you want, I have already copied it, so I would be using this copy, and yeah, and let's just remove this, not over here, over here. So let me just format the document. Yeah, so document is formatted, and I'm getting this sidebar. So now we would be working on this content part, and inside this content we would be having few things. So the first thing that we would be having is your card, and then we would be having, let me just first design the structure. So structure that we would be following is, we would be having buttons, stars and then heart. So yeah, so we would be having total 4 divs. So let's just have a div, and at first, sorry, not like this. So we would be having card, and inside this card div we would be having another div, and inside this we would be, after this let's just have few more divs that we would be working. So we would be having buttons, and inside this we would be having your main part. So let me just scroll. Yeah, so over here in this button parts we would be adding these buttons, that is your cross, star and all other things, and inside this card we would be adding your images and all other things. So let's just have with a card part is ready, and now we would be having div with a class of your user, and inside this I would be having an image with a class of your user. So let me just add a class, and inside this I would be having class of user, and now I would be copying the link. So let me just copy this link that I have copied it. So let's just replace it. So this is the link that we would be following, and after this I would be having div with a class of your, inside this only div with a class of profile. So div with a class of profile, and inside this profile I would be having div with a class of name, and inside this name I would be having I would be copying the name, and then I would be having a span tag, and inside this I would be saying 20. And after this div I would be having your div with a class of local. So local, and let me just make it again, sorry, local. So local, and inside this we would be having one icon, and icon that we would be having is of class that we would be using is your so let's just check our logo. So yeah, this is the icon that I need to add, and we would be copying it from Font Awesome. So let me just show you how I have copied it. Font Awesome, so we would be using this Font Awesome. Let's just go on this Font Awesome website, and you can go on to this icon part and you can search the icon. So you can say map marker all. So if we will search by this name, so let's just search over here, map. Let's just search for map marker. Yeah, so you can see you can get all these local dots, and if you will scroll down I have copied, let me just show you. Let's just check which icon. Yeah, so we have covered something which is similar to this. So as you can see, yeah, so you will be getting it like this. So if I'll copy this as well, and if I'll paste it instead of this, if I'll paste this, and if I'll go to my Tinder part, so I'm getting, I think because of the Font Awesome I'm using the previous library. Let's just copy this link, and let me just paste this link of Font Awesome. And yeah, now if you will check, I'm getting the proper link and the proper output as well. So let me just use the previous one which I was using, and I would be following this only. So I have got what I was expecting, and I've shown you how I have added this as well. So I have already the list of all the icons that I would be using. So after this we would be having a span. So let's just have a span, and inside this span I would be saying a 20 miles uh, miles to go, something like this. So of kilometer to go, something like that. So to go, let's just have a 20 miles to go, so something like this. And now it's done. Let's just have like this, and let me just check with this our part, our main account. So yeah, we are getting the similar kind of thing, and that's what I was trying to achieve. And let's just close this part. So I hope that the card part is over, and now let me just go to the style.css part, and now we would be designing our style part. So we would be adding some property inside the card first. So container, and inside this container I would be having a card part, and now I would be having position as a relative, and height that I would be having is 450 pixels. Dot content that we would be content dot card dot user, and now I would be having width of 380 pixels and your height of 450 pixels, and then object fit of your cover and border radius of your 10 pixels, and then I would be having box shadow of 0 1 pixels, and then 10 pixels, and then 0, and then RGBA, and then I would be having 0 comma 20 comma 20 and comma 0.5. So this is what I would be having, and now I would be working on my, let's just check the output how it's looking. So output is looking little bit good, and let's just move on towards our style part. And now I would be working on content dot card dot user dot profile, and now I would be adding positions as not relative as absolute, bottom of 0 pixels and your left as 20 pixels. So now we have got this, and now we would be adding the properties for the content part. So dot content and dot card and dot user and dot name. So we would be using color first. So color that we would be adding is your hash fff, and then we would be adding font size of 32 pixels, and then font weight of 700, and then we would be having adding a letter spacing of 0.5 pixels, and then text shadow of 1 pixels and 5 pixels, and then 444. So we would be having a text shadow of gray color, and then we would be going inside the span. So let me just copy this and let's just go inside the span, and let's just have a font size of 26 pixels. And now I would be having the property for local. So content, let me just copy this content card and dot local. So inside this I would be having display as your flex, and your align items as your center, and your padding I would be adding of 0, 0, 20 pixels and 0. And now I would be going inside the I tag of this local. So let me just select the icon, and now I would be designing the icon. So margin of 5 pixels 0, and then I would be adding the color. So color of white, so I need to add a color of white, and we would be dot content and then card local span. So let's just have control C, and now we would be having color of your $FFF, and we would be having, let me just show you, so we would be having padding of your 0 and then 10 pixels, and then we would be having the text shadow of 1 pixels and then 5 pixels and then 444. So now let's just check our output, how it's looking. The output is looking fine, and we need to work on our image. So we need to have something for our image. So let's just check where we are having the image. So let's just go inside this and let's just check card user, and we are having the properties for user. So yeah, so let's just check why this user property is not being defined. So yeah, because of this now it would be looking fine. Yeah, now if you will check, and if you will check this, if you will check ours, and if you will check this, it's looking similar. So it's looking as it is. So let me just move this out. So now our output is matching, and our output is as expected and as we have done it. So now we would be moving ahead of what we have done. So now we would be designing your buttons part also. So let me just close this part, and let's just go with your buttons. So inside this buttons we won't be having much. We would be having div with a class of no, that is your cross, and then an icon. So we would be having icon with a class of your FAS, and then FA dash times, and let's just check whether we have got, yeah, we have got this cross icon. Let me just move ahead and let me just copy this 2 more times. So instead of no we would be having star, and over here we would be having heart. So over here we need to make it star and then FA, and now I need to make it as FA heart. Let's just check our output. So heart is there, but we are not getting the star. So star, so now we would be getting the star also. Yeah, so we have got all the three icons. Now we would be designing this icons. So we would be adding this content dot buttons. We would be adding margin top of 10 pixels, and then display as your flex, and then align items as center. And then we would be having content and then dot buttons and then dot no and then I. So we would be designing this. So we would be adding color first. Color that we would be adding is FD 2E7 2E79. So we would be adding this color. 2E, it's 2, not double E, it's 2E79. So yeah, this is the color that we would be adding, and the font size that we would be adding is 33 pixels. And let me just do this for content again. Content dot buttons and then dot star and then I, and then I need to say the color. So color that we would be following is hash 2bb 1ff. So we would be having 2bb 1ff. So somewhat blue color that we would be following, and then font size that we would be having is 22 pixels. Let me just copy this and paste it, and instead of star we need to say it heart, and over here we need to change the color. So color that we would be following is 1E298. So color is done, and we would be having 32 pixels of your font size. So now let's just check. So let's just check how it's looking. Let me just refresh it. So the colors are being added, but why it's not working? So let's just check. So buttons, yeah, now the color and all other things are being added and it's looking good. So let me just add few more properties to all of these things. So no, so comma, and then I would be adding similar properties to all of these things. So I'm separating it by comma and I'm adding it. So comma, let me just copy it again, Control C and then Control B. Yeah, so now we would be having the property of background color of your hash FFF, that is your white color, and width of your 70 pixels, height of also 70 pixels, and then we would be having some box shadow. So box shadow that we would be using is 0, 1 pixels, 10 pixels, and then 0, and then RGBA, and then we would be having 0, and instead of this we would be having this one, and then we would be having display as your flex, and then justify content center, align items as center, border radius as 70 pixels, 4 pixels, and then transition that I would be adding is 0.2 transform. So let's just check how our part is looking. Yeah, so now it's looking pretty much good, and it's spaced also around, and we would be adding the properties of hovers. So we can say transform to scale 1.1. so that's it, and let's just check. So now if we will do it, as you can see, it's scaling. So we have got, or we have achieved what we were doing it, and now we can add some properties since star is little bit not that much perfect, so we need to modify its width. So width that we would be adding is your 60 pixels, and height is also 60 pixels. So now we have made it successfully, and if we will check, it's 100% matching, and it's 100% similar that what we have done, and we have successfully made our Tinder clone. So I hope that you must have enjoyed it, and you must have learned a lot of new things. So we have successfully copied the clone, and students, please like and subscribe to my channel, as well as along with that I've also made the playlist. Let me just refresh this page. So it's getting loaded, just a second. I've also made one playlist, let me just show you, that is web development for everyone. So in this playlist I am uploading the all the videos, that is your projects and all other things related to the web development. So kindly please check it and do share it with your friends and families, because I would really feel happy if more and more number of students are taking the advantage of this playlist. So that's all for today, students, and I hope that you must have enjoyed this Tinder project, and you must be copying it, and you must be uploading it inside your portfolios and all other things, and I would really feel happy. And do share all your things into the comment section, whether you are enjoying it or not, or what all difficulties if you are facing. So I would be really helpful to guide you and to share my experience as well along with that. So that's all, till then, bye bye, take care, I would see you in the next class.